Uh, Hello everyone. A very good morning, almost afternoon now, and I'm really sorry for the delay of the lecture. I had some network issues, and since the time is raining so much, we all are having some network issues, I guess. We are back to the bioavailability and bioequivalence session. So we had almost finished talking about what do you mean by bioavailability, what are the types of it, why, how to assess the bioavailability, and what are the factors that affect the bioavailability. So there are two factors that affect the bioavailability. First is pharmacokinetic, and another one is pharmacological factors. So we then also started talking about the bioequivalence. So bioequivalence is nothing but finding the equivalence between the two dosage forms uh, of the same drugs, or it could be two same drug with the same dosage form from different brands. Okay? So basically, you're going to find the equivalence between those drugs, checking out whether the effect they are having is same or not. Okay. So under equivalence also we had seen there are different type of equivalence that we have in which learned the definitions about chemical equivalence. Just then pharmaceutical equivalence, then we know the bioequivalence. Okay, we also know what do you mean by therapeutic equivalence. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat these definitions. These definitions will be with you whenever I'll be uploading the slides, okay, in our Google Classroom. uh, so next thing that we have is need of bioequivalence. Okay, need of bioequivalence studies. Okay, see, let me clear this one thing to you, that bioavailability is determined only when you do the when you have the plasma sample या फिर urine sample with you. Okay, so bioequivalence studies are generally done whenever I'm saying that BA/BE trials. Okay, it's a type of clinical trial. So whenever we are talking about that, basically we are doing nothing but bioequivalence trial, and from those trials, whatever samples we have got, we'll be checking for the bioavailability of the drug. So hence we call it as BA/BE trials. Okay. So what is the need of this bioequivalence studies? Okay. So new drug product is intended to be substitute for an appropriate, just a minute, let me see, approved medicine product as a pharmaceutical equivalent or alternative. Okay. So basically you would want to substitute one drug with another drug, and hence you will be doing this pharmaceutical equivalent or alternative treatment for the drug which is already available in the market. Then to ensure the clinical performance of such drug products. Okay, so even if you are making a drug which is already is available in the market with a different brand name or whatever, then still you would want to make sure that the clinical performance of such drugs is same as that of the drugs which are already available in the market. Then bioequivalence studies are conducted if there is a risk of bio inequivalence. ठीक है, अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि ये bio inequivalent हो सकता है, then those products are definitely done for the bioequivalence studies trials. They will go ahead and will have to conduct the bioequivalence studies on those. Then a risk of pharmacotherapeutic failure or diminished clinical safety. So when those so pharmacotherapeutic in the sense the therapeutic value of it might fail, it might be at risk, or it might be not efficient as what we must have thought of it to be, and something like that if is there, then if that kind of a risk is there, then we'll have to go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence studies. Then next is when would you conduct a bioequivalence study is when in vivo bioavailability or bioequivalence studies in vitro dissolution testing recommended to applicants intending to submit the investigational new drug application IND and new drug application, NDAs, abbreviated new drug applications for conventional and extended release dosage form administered orally. So when you have in vivo bioavailability or bioequivalence studies and in vitro dissolution testing recommended to applicants intending to submit the investigational new drug application. So when you have this data with you, the in vivo bioavailability data or bioequivalence data, along with the what dissolution testing this data, then in that case, if you are applying for an investigational new drug, या फिर new drug application, या फिर abbreviated new drug application, if you are doing, so generally abbreviated new drug applications are generally done for, as per my knowledge, they are done for over the counter drugs. Okay, over the counter drugs. Do you guys know what do you mean by over the counter drugs? Let me know in the chat box. You guys must be knowing, yes. So over-the-counter drugs are nothing but which we can go ahead and buy from the medicine shop. Okay, means they are legal to be sold at medicinal shop. For example, drugs that you get are paracetamol, diclofenac, etc. They are OTC drugs, because if you just tell the name of the drug, the medicine shop practitioner can give it to you. Why? Because they are approved under that category. So those kinds of drug also go under drug application, and they will be called as abbreviated new drug applications. Okay, for conventional or extended release dosage form administered orally. So basically, all the this point is basically telling you that if you have data with you of in vivo bioavailability or bioequivalence studies and also dissolution studies, then you can, so you don't need a preclinical data for that understanding. So generally, what is the flow? You do in vitro, you do in vivo, then you do in vivo means obviously in this thing, what you say, in animals. So basically, when you are just trying to find out the bioequivalence between the two drugs, okay, so if the reference drug you are taking is already available in the market, then you would not go ahead and do the preclinical against in vivo, या फिर like dissolution testing ka data is also enough for you to go ahead and do the bioequivalence studies. So in that case, but it is necessary for you to conduct the bioequivalence studies on the subjects. Okay, applicants, subjects in the sense the people who will be coming in your facilities and you will be conducting the bioequivalence test. So even if you want to find out the bioavailability of the drug that you have produced and which might be available in the market, you'll have to conduct the bioequivalence studies. You might not have to conduct the in vivo trials. Okay, so that is one point. And another one is that when you have investigational new drug, when you have new drug application, and when you have ANDAs, ठीक है, जिसके बारे में तुम्हारे पास in vivo data रहेगा, in vitro data रहेगा, in vitro means dissolution testing data रहेगा. In that case also it is compulsory for you to perform the bioequivalence studies. Okay, so we are talking about when all you are required to perform the bioequivalence study. So these are all the points at which you will be required to do the bioequivalence study. So when you have a new drug application, when you have an investigational new drug, when you have abbreviated new drug application for extended release, means these are modified dosage forms. Conventional या फिर extended release dosage forms are, they come under the modified oral dosage forms. So when you have abbreviated drug application for this conventional या फिर extended release dosage forms, you will have to, even when you have a in vivo data and when you have a this dissolution testing data, you will be still conducting the bioequivalence studies for this. So when we are talking about the modified dosage form, for example, we can say that painkiller tablet. Okay, so painkiller tablet in major surgeries nowadays you have to prescribe only one tablet a day. Major surgeries in the sense, if I say, for example, liver transplant, so there will be a big cut. in the on the stomach, right? So in that case, obviously, the whenever the patient will be out of anesthesia, he'll be feeling that cut, and he'll be having a lots of pain for the, on that cut, yeah, फिर inside his stomach, in around his liver. So in that case, it is very impossible for you. You will be giving the what you say, painkiller through injections, right? Painkiller medicine through injections. But after certain time, uh, the patients are removed from saline and etc., and they are prescribed oral medications. Okay, so in that oral medication, you want to make sure that you are prescribing, means like this is the modified dosage form we are talking about. So earlier we used to give, the doctors used to give three medicines for pain killing in a day. Okay, but nowadays we give only one medication for killing the pain. In the sense, now what they have modified the dosage form in such a way that it will have the extended release of the drug for the 24 hours. So hence, it is convenient for patient to take only one medication a day rather than taking three medications at three different times, and still he is getting relief of the pain. So this is how the extended and modified release dosage forms are working. So if you have, so what is my point over here? The medication is the same, right? Because medication is available in 3 dose a day type of system also, and 1 dose a day type of system also. But still, I will have to go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence trial, या फिर bioequivalence studies. Understanding? So even if the medication is the same, if the dosage form has changed, still you will have to go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence studies, right? I hope I have made this point very clear. Uh, we'll talk about it in the ending of the session if there are any doubts. I am not able to go ahead. Okay. And how, what this fourth condition in which we'll be still performing the bioequivalence study is the condition where a suitable method for determining active drug is not available, and an indirect indication of bioavailability and bioequivalence by comparing the pharmacodynamic response of the formulation may be possible. So in this condition also, you will be performing the bioequivalence study. So if you have the data, maybe you can tell the pharmacodynamic effect of the drug. So in that case, you'll be going ahead and conducting the bioequivalence studies. Okay, so this was about the need of bioequivalence studies. Okay, why do you need bioequivalence studies? So there are 4 points in that, and we already know what do you mean by bioequivalence studies. So there could be a confusion in your mind, but don't get confused. It's nothing but comparing your drug with the reference standard. Nothing but just comparing your drug with the reference standard with at clinical level will be called as bioequivalence studies. Okay. Importance of bioequivalence studies is to evaluate the absolute bioavailability of dosage form comparing with the reference dosage. So to evaluate the absolute bioavailability, what do you mean by absolute bioavailability? It is a type of bioavailability that we all know. But what do you mean by absolute bioavailability? Can you guys type it in the chat box? Don't go and search on the internet for absolute bioavailability. Just try to recollect from whatever we have learned in last 2 days. Anybody? Nobody has the answer? Tanuja? Okay, somebody has written something. Amount of drug present in the system is the amount of the drug available to the blood or the system. Yes. So that is your absolute bioavailability, in the sense you will be comparing the bioavailability with the intravenous medication, right? So you have a oral dosage form, if you have any other dosage form, and you'll be comparing that with the intravenous data, because intravenous data, we are considering it to be have the bioavailability of 100% or equivalent to number 1, because bioavailability is always counted from 0 to 1. Okay? So what will be the most appropriate standard to compare it with? IV. ठीक है ना, intravenous medication of means when you give the medicine through IV and when you give the medicine through any other dosage form. ठीक है, so you'll compare your data with the IV, and whatever data you get, you will be getting the absolute bioavailability of that dosage form. ठीक है, so you will be doing the absolute bioavailability evaluation of your drug या फिर study drug with the reference, that is reference dosage form. Okay, so that is what is absolute bioavailability. So first importance of bioequivalence study is to evaluate the absolute bioavailability of your drug when you are comparing it with the reference dosage form. Then those proportionality studies to determine if bioavailability parameters are linear over proposed dosage range. So dose proportionality studies are basically done when you have multiple dosage, okay, या फिर two dosage, या फिर means like when you have a treatment for a longer period of time. ठीक है, so you have to determine if the bioavailability parameters are linear or over proposed for a proposed dosage range, whether the bioavailability is linear or not. Means अगर मैंने बोला है कि मुझे ये particular tablet का dose 3 times a day देना है, 4 times a day देना है, then I have to make sure at every dose the bioavailability is the same. Okay, so that is when I'll be that is when the bioequivalence studies will play important role. Then intra and inter-subject variability. To check the intra and inter-subject variability, we'll be doing bioequivalence studies. Then intervention studies to examine effect of food and concomitant medication. So that we already know. In those are when you want to check the drug-drug interaction, and when you want to check the effect of the food on the dosage on the medication that you have taken, those studies will be called as intervention studies. Means you are intervening the drugs mode of action, या फिर however the drug will react in your body will be, its effect may be modified by the other drug or by the food. So those are called as intervention studies. So if when you want to do that time also you would go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence studies. Then dosage form proportionality study to determine if equipotent drug treatments administered at different dose strengths of the just a minute, I can't see here. Strength of the market form produces equivalent drug availability. So basically you will be comparing the dosage proportionality of your drug with the reference standard which is available in the market, and you will be checking whether both the drugs are giving equivalent drug bioavailability or not. Then bioequivalence study need as a result of changes in formulation and manufacturing processes. So bioequivalence tabhi karna hai when you have changed the formulation a little bit and when you have also changed the manufacturing process. Okay, that time also to make sure that your drug is same as that of before, or it gives the same bioavailability as that of before even after we changing the formulation or we changing the manufacturing process. Then also you'll have to go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence studies. See, whenever I'm talking about so many points, you have to remember one thing over here, that when we are saying bioequivalence studies means conducting the bioequivalence trials in between the subjects. Okay, for just to check that your drug is same as that of what is available in the market, या फिर when you have to compare your results after you have changed the formulating method या फिर manufacturing method, ठीक है, या फिर तुमने तुम्हारा dosage regime थोड़ा सा change कर दिया है, but you still want to confirm that your drug is having same bioavailability as that of before, ठीक है. So bioequivalence studies are those done on those kind of drugs basically जो little bit modified हो गए हैं than the product which is already available in the market, and then your job is to only do one thing is that कि already जो market में available है drug उससे हमारा drug better है in some or other way, and it has the same bioavailability as that of the drug which is available in the market. So it could be anything. Your drug is cheaper. Generic drugs. See, generic drug everybody knows. What is generic drug? Can anybody say? Tell me, what do you mean by generic drug? Kajal, tell me, what do you mean by generic drug? We have discussed about generic drug before. If not, Fatak se will, I can tell you what is generic drug. Fatak se answer de do. Darshana? Don't go back, check in, just tell me. I don't want you guys to find answers through Google or something like that. Don't do that. Just think. If you don't know, we can talk. The medicine which name comes by its API, the drug which is patent, which does not come under patent or brand drug. No. So the basically generic drugs are those drugs whose patent has been expired. So generally कैसा रहता है कि I have invented a new drug, right? So I'll be patenting it, right? And my patent is good for 20 years. Okay, but after 20 years that patent is open for everyone. Okay, so if I am a manufacturing company and somebody so let's start with a very simple example. So there is a paracetamol patent. Okay, so paracetamol patent published हुआ था 2000 में maybe. Okay, so 2000 से लेके 2020 तक the patent right and the manufacturing right will be with the person who has investigated the paracetamol drug. ठीक है, after that after 20 years that patent is open for everyone, in the sense that if Supriya is another manufacturer, ठीक है, so Supriya wants to produce paracetamol and now she can take the paracetamol after this December 2020 बिकॉज 20 साल खत्म हो जाएंगे, तो उसने क्या सोचा अभी 2021 में आई वांट टू प्रोड्यूस पैरासिटामोल एंड अंडर जेनेरिक ड्रग. सो व्हाट शी कैन डू इज शी कैन टेक द पेटेंट, ठीक है, रेफर द पेटेंट and do the manufacturing of paracetamol drug, ठीक है, but under the generic name, ठीक है. So patents who are been expired, so who are done with the 20 years of time period, any manufacturing company can pick them up and manufacture the drug, and those would be called as your generic drugs. Means in the sense 20 साल वो already market में है, now you can produce them at a very cheaper rate and make it available to the people who are really requiring who are in need of a cheaper medication, ठीक है. So 20 साल तक we give time to the investigator, means जिसने किसने भी वो drug investigate किया है, उसको पैसा कमाने का थोड़ा time देंगे ना हम, right? He has to earn some money for the investigation he has done. Any company has to earn money for how much amount they have spent on researching that drug, doing clinical trials. So in that 20 years, they will be earning that money. So अगर ग्लेनमार्क ने एक इन्वेस्टिगेटर को देके पैरासिटामोल का टैबलेट बनाया है और वो 20 साल ग्लेनमार्क के ब्रांड के नीचे ही काम कर रहा है, right? So in 20 years, Glenmark will have, an investigator will have lots and lots of money that they can earn by selling of this tablet, right? but after 20 years, common people can take that patent and generate a generic drug. That if after 20 years, that is expiration of the patent के बाद अगर तुम उसको manufacture करते हो, then that will be called as generic drug. So, but even if you are producing that generic drug by taking the same patent, you still have to go ahead and do the bioequivalence study in between the subjects. So your generic drug and the reference standard you will be taking from market or whatever, wherever the drug actual, whatever is the actual drug, and you will be showing that कि हमने सेम ही किया है. So generic drug, sorry, इसका bioavailability same ही आ रहा है. So in generic drug, maybe the raw material you use could be of little bit low of a quality or something, because generic drug are very cheaper. ठीक है, बिकॉज वो 20 साल बाद एक तो तुम प्रोड्यूस करोगे, 20 साल तक वो जो एक्चुअल जिसने इन्वेस्टिगेट किया, एक्चुअल जो स्पॉन्सरर है, इन्वेस्टिगेटर है, उन लोगों ने सारा पैसा कमा लिया है. नाउ इट इज जेनेरिक ड्रग प्रोडक्शन कंपनी कैन गो अहेड एंड produce it at a cheaper rate so that it is available. So you see now the cancer drugs are also available in generic category. Many people are looking for that generic category drug for treating their cancer. So those drugs are available under generic name only after the patent has been expired. ठीक है ना? So those were, but even if you are doing that, you are producing a generic drug, it is necessary for you to go ahead and do the bioequivalence study of your generic drug. Okay, so that is what I wanted to tell you guys. Next is importance of bioequivalence study. So हमने यहाँ तक देखा था कि intervention study तक हमें करना, intervention जानने के लिए भी हमें bioequivalence study करनी पड़ती है. Then dosage form proportionality study to determine the, अच्छा ये भी हमने देखा point, ठीक है, whether your dose strength is same as that of the dose of whatever. Yeah, and we have seen the next point as well. अगर तुम्हारा formulation में थोड़ा सा changes है या फिर manufacturing method में थोड़ा सा changes है, then also you'll have to go ahead and conduct the bioequivalence studies. Next is criteria for establishing a bioequivalence requirement. So what is the criteria for establishing a bioequivalence requirement? So first is evidence from well-controlled clinical trials or controlled observations in patients and bioequivalence studies. So various drug products do not give comparable therapeutic effects, are not bioequivalent drug products. Narrow therapeutic ratio and minimum effective concentration in the blood. Okay, and serious adverse events, serious adverse effects. So evidence from well-controlled clinical trial or controlled observation in patient and bioequivalence studies. So these are the criteria which will be required to establish the bioequivalence study. So various drugs who do not give comparable therapeutic effects are not bioequivalent drugs, right? That is because they have to be bioequivalent. If you can, when are they bioequivalent? When you can say that they have the same therapeutic effect than between the reference and the study drug. ठीक है ना? Narrow therapeutic ratio or minimum effective concentration in the blood. What do you mean by narrow therapeutic ratio? मैंने कल ही तुम लोगों को बताया है. What do you mean by narrow therapeutic ratio and serious adverse effects? What do you mean by therapeutic ratio? Narrow therapeutic ratio. See, all these points are very important. Yesterday I was explaining with the graph. Do you guys remember the plasma concentration and the time? And then we were doing a graph in which it was explaining about the maximum effective concentration. And I have given the difference between the effective and toxic concentration is very low. Yes. Yes. So that is what it is. So narrow therapeutic ratio. So evidence from well-controlled and clinical trial or control observation in patients and bioequivalence studies shows that these things are there. Then criteria for establishing a bioequivalence requirement is this, means like if you have this kind of data with you where the drugs do not give comparable therapeutic, where there is a narrow therapeutic ratio, where there are serious adverse events, that time it is required for you to establish a bioequivalence requirement. Okay, you have to do a bioequivalence trial and show and try to see what all factors you can eliminate from this. Okay, then physicochemical में भी, so evidence from well controlled trial में अगर तुम्हें ये सब भी दिख रहा है, that means you still have a serious adverse event, you still have a non-comparable data, then you have a narrow therapeutic ratio या फिर minimum concentration, minimum effective concentration in the blood, then you will have to do establish a bioequivalence requirement in such a way that you can target all these points and make sure that you get at least some data which will be eliminating these side effects. Okay, side effects in the sense the drawbacks of the study. Then in case of physicochemical properties of the drug, it will be the same. If there is a low solubility of the drug in the water, the dissolution rate is low, then particle size and surface area of the active drug ingredient is higher, then in that case also you'll have to go ahead and establish a bioequivalence requirement. That means you require a bioequivalence studies due to this reason, due to this criteria. That is what you will have to explain, and then again you will have to conduct the bioequivalence studies. Okay. Then also, so when we are talking about the physicochemical, so when we are talking about the physicochemical properties, that means we are talking about the structure of the drug. Okay, so structural forms of the that dissolves poorly. Then you have high ratio of excipients, and hydrophilic and hydrophobic excipients and lubricants are there, and these all reasons are causing an effect on the bioavailability of the drug. Okay. Then you will have to develop a criteria to conduct a bioequivalent study by changing this dosage form, and then again coming up with a protocol and conduct those bioavailability studies, bioequivalent studies, which will give you good results. Okay. Then in pharmacokinetic also, GI tract or localized sites and degree of absorption is poor. Okay. So if you think about pharmacokinetic reasons, if these things are there, the GI tract or localized site, at this particular site the drug is not well absorbed, if there are some defects with GI tract localized site wherever the drug is going to get absorbed, then this drug is not working properly, then you will be modifying the formulation and coming up with a different formulation which can help you tackle these problems. So these are basically criteria where you will require a bioequivalence study to be modified. Means you will have to do the modification either in the study or in the formulation, and then go ahead and conduct the trial again. Okay. So there is only less than 1 minute remaining. If there are any questions, we'll do it on the afternoon session. We'll go ahead with the bioequivalence studies. As we move further, you will understand in a better manner. Okay. If there are any questions, please note it down, keep it to yourself, and we can do the